How's that for road rash?
Today I will be talking about my gamer type according to the Quantic Foundry's test results, and I will be commenting on them while using some gameplay footages. As for the game, I chose to include the gameplay of Devil May Cry 5 in this video because firstly, I really love Devil May Cry series and 51 is basically the most up-to-date one, and secondly, it was the game that I played most and continuously during this semester. So I thought that it would be more suitable for me to include an ongoing and fresh player experience. First, let's talk about what a gamer type is. The Quantic Foundry provides a gamer motivation profile test that measures the player's gaming type and sorts them into 9 different gamer types. Some gamers have one dominant gamer type and some have secondary gamer types too. In my case, I have a secondary gamer type and dominant one is Architect and the secondary one is Gladiator. The architects are basically gamers who rely on strategic thinking and planning stuff. Architects tend to work alone and try to get the job done always. They like to spend time on something and want to preserve it by themselves, may it be a building or civilization or a character skill tree. Gladiators are, as the name implies, hardcore gamers who are looking for thrill and excitement through gameplay. Gladiators also rely on strategic thinking, but they also like competitive challenges and to explore the setting and gameplay. It can be said that they want to engage with the game as much as possible. When I see the results, actually I wasn't that much surprised at all, because whenever I play a game, I simply play it by planning all of my actions step by step. It is like apart from the game's objectives, I give myself other objectives too, like collecting or buying every possible thing that the game offers, or going to every location in the game to be a part of it as much as possible. And also by doing that, I don't want it to be simple because it wouldn't be fun. Whenever a game offers me a challenge, first I don't want to do it because I find it hard. But after a few minutes, my mind always changes and I find myself in various interesting situations that I basically challenge the game and also my patience. Now we need to talk about my 6 motivation groups. It is obvious that immersion and achievement are dominating the other motivations by having 90% each. That is a high percentage when it is compared to others.
Well, well. O king of stench and filth. I'm impressed. Those are 2 of the most badass women in the world. And I only know one other guy who can defeat them. Jackpot.
Dante.
Firstly, let's look at the immersion part. The gamers who scored high on immersion components like to be engaged in the world that the game offers. These types of players like to see exciting characters, settings, and storylines, and they want to feel connected to these elements. It can be said that these types of gamers like to focus on the narrative and story of a game rather than its gameplay mechanics, and they will probably like the game if the storyline is properly constructed and interesting. And when we take a look at the secondary motivations, I scored higher in story than fantasy. Gamers who score high on story component look for games that are multidimensional and have interesting characters, whereas gamers who score high on fantasy like to have an alter ego in a game, which is something I don't feel connected to. As someone who chooses which game to play solely by its story and characters, I can definitely say that this result suits me very well. I don't like to play games based for the visual aesthetics or gameplay elements. If there is a background story that I need to learn or a well-developed character that I need to control, I will most likely play that game, no further question needed. One of the reasons why I like Devil May Cry and why I choose to use its 5th game is because of its story and characters, obviously. It basically tells the story of the descendants of the legendary Dark Knight Sparda, who is a demon and starts a rebellion against the king of hell, Mundus. In the end, Sparda seals the gates of hell and starts a new life in Earth, gets married and has twin sons. At some point in the story, which is unclear to this day, he vanished from the Earth and the demons he rebelled against wants to have their revenge by killing his wife Eva and their twin sons Dante and Virgil. The series follows the younger twin Dante's adventures as a devil hunter, and his older twin Virgil is like an on and off villain of the story. In the fifth game, it is not that much different actually. We still hunt demons while we perform stylish combos, that's basically what Devil May Cry is about. But in Devil May Cry 5, for the first time in the series, there are 3 playable characters. Obviously we have Dante, we have Virgil's son Nero, and lastly a mysterious man named V, who drags Dante and Nero into this whirlwind of events. DMC5 follows a non-linear narrative by letting players experience the events through the eyes of 3 different playable characters. Personally, I very much like this innovation and breath of fresh air into the series itself. Now we have complicated family issues and more mysteries to unravel. All of these elements make me like the game more and want to play it again and again. It is sometimes like I play to watch the cutscenes at the beginning and end of the missions, just to get new info about the backstory and the upcoming events. So I can say 100% that this immersion rate is valid. Next, I will talk about achievement component. The gamers who scored high on achievement have only one goal: to acquire everything collectible that the game offers. It can be a skill set or rare items or anything that is hard to obtain. When we look at the secondary motivations, completion is 97% and power is 52%. The main difference is that probably I simply like to collect everything and not just focus on being powerful and invincible in games. Again, this result fits my gameplay because apart from playing the game and having fun, I also try to complete achievements and obtain all of these collectibles. That is my goal, but unfortunately on my Steam account there are only 2 games that I managed to complete all achievements, and they do not have that much achievement too. So it can be said that yes, I like to challenge myself and grind the game to collect everything, but I often fail to do so. In Devil May Cry games, there are multiple secret missions that players need to find in interesting areas. For example, as you can see in DMC5, finding a secret mission is dependent on managing the camera angle and completing the shape. Only after that the secret mission is available. While playing this game, I spend most of my time trying to jumping everywhere or changing the camera angle just for the sake of getting the reward of finding the secret missions. And when I found it, I simply do not quit the game unless I achieve the blue orb fragment that the mission will give. These fragments are collected, and when they reach number 4, it will increase the health bar of the character. Also, some blue orb fragments are in again interesting areas, and players have to acquire them if they want to have a completed health bar. Additionally, Devil May Cry's currency is red orbs, and at the end of every mission, how much red orb you collected will affect your ranking. So I spend my remaining gameplay time by searching for every red orb possible, falling from platforms which I suffered to get on, and trying to hit them with my weapons but failed miserably. Again, I can say that I have the fabric of a person who is crazy for completing achievements, but unfortunately I cannot achieve all of them. Next, I will talk about creativity component, which is the 3rd highest component with 68%. Players who have high creativity scores like to experiment the world that the game offers them, and also they like to alter it with their own designs. I think this percentage does not fit me well because I don't think that I spend some more time trying to customize everything. Actually, I used to spend so much time for character customization in the games like The Sims when I was a kid, but when I grow up, I simply dropped this habit. Right now, for example, if I can customize the physical attributes of the character I control, I tend to stick with the original as long as their overall vibe looks nice. Maybe only habit I have that fits this component is that I like to go to the places where it is hard to go on map, or sometimes hit anything that I am curious about. While I was playing Devil May Cry 5, I accidentally hit something like a kitchen tube and almost killed myself. And I also sometimes try to break everything in the game to find some secrets behind them, but I think that's all. When we look at the secondary motivation of creativity, discovery is 71% and design is 59%. It also shows that I do not spend time nor pay attention to customization anymore and try to experiment with the game more and more, just like people who score high at discovery. And lastly, I will be commenting on the mastery component. It says that gamers with high mastery scores prefer challenges, complexity, and strategic planning. They simply try to achieve the inaccessible things and have fun while doing so. When we look at the secondary motivations, challenge is 58% and strategy is 33%. According to this, I tend to like games based on improving skills and abilities, and I spend time to practice so that I can master those skills. That is correct, because if I play an action game, I tend to rehearse my moves and go through the skill set that I have. I mostly try to press the correct buttons to perform that particular action, but I sometimes try to work on combos too. In Devil May Cry 5, like I mentioned before, there are 3 main playable characters and each of them is way too different from each other. So whenever there is a character switch, I will be probably spending the next 15 or 20 minutes trying to remember or learn the moves that character has. Also, gamers who score high in challenge secondary motivation generally like to play games with highest difficulty settings and like to repeat missions if they fail. This is half true and half wrong for my gaming style. In my entire life, I still couldn't beat any game at high difficulty setting, and sadly, I tend to play at easy and normal. But interestingly, when I manage to die with these easy to play difficulty levels, I do not revive my character. I simply restart the mission. Because I believe this is how it should be done. I did the same in Devil May Cry 5. I collect yellow orbs, which are used for reviving after dying in a mission, but I collect them only for the sake of collecting. I never use them. Overall, I think that most of my results fits my gameplay style very well. I sort of feel connected being an architect and gladiator at the same time. Probably I switch between them depending on the game. Also, secondary and primary components reflects me well as well, especially immersion and achievement components reflect my way of playing games precisely. So, thanks for listening.